the penultimate episode of Titans Season 1. In this one, we saw, I'll start with, I guess I'll go in order. We saw, I know in the preview videos for this episode, one of the big things that circulated on the internet and I saw on Facebook was the scene where Wonder Girl uses her lasso on Starfire to stop Starfire from killing Raven. And, that was definitely in this scene, and that was something, that was a highlight. It was the first time we saw Wonder Girl use her lasso the same way, Wonder Woman would use it. And that was actually a cool little sequence. However, there was a difference. And I think it has to do with the fact that the writers are taking the show in a more of a grittier, darker direction, so to speak. Normally, when you see Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl in the comics and stuff use their lasso, they lasso people like around the waist. And I think like in the Wonder Woman movie, you saw her, she would lasso people like their arms or in their legs, to do like a kick or whatever. But in this episode of Titans, Wonder Girl lassoed Starfire around her neck, which I think is a pretty severe, way to do it, because that's like a noose, choking, that sort of thing. Occasionally, you've seen like Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl do it like this in the comics, but that's usually when they're emphasizing the more warrior, aggressive, kind of stance. And, I think it's part of them making the Titans darker. When you're lassoing someone around the throat, that's pretty severe versus, the waist or the leg or the arm, because that's like choking, killing, sort of, kind of. I mean, that's kind of what that kind of symbolizes or represents. It's like the more harder core way to use your lasso. And, I'm pretty sure that wasn't an accident on the writer's part. They could have had her lasso her anywhere else, but, a noose is like, oh, that's hardcore, man. That's gritty. So, I was like, oh, okay, all right. I mean, I still am fine with the show. And maybe you could say logistically with body positioning, maybe because of the way Corey was situated and, the situation. Maybe lassoing her in the neck was the best choice for Wonder Girl strategically. But I don't think that's why they had her lasso her around the neck. And this episode saw a lot of people, flashing on other Titans. When Beast Boy and Raven were at the breakfast table talking and he put his hand on her hand, her soul self lashed out and she was like, don't touch me, and he jumped back. And I was like, is this a theme of this episode, having members of the Titans, go crazy on their friends and lash out at them? But of course, I think as time went on, I don't know, it's either the effects of Raven's powers, just in general, like messing with Beast Boy or the house, because he saw those flashbacks, or, those hallucinations of that guy he killed that messed with him, his head, and then he got injured. I couldn't tell if that was residual effects of Raven's powers, or if that was Trigon's influences, permeating over the house, while he was from his dimension, or if that house was haunted or something. I wasn't sure exactly where all that was supposed to come from, but, I did notice that. I think it was from her and Trigon trying to influence her, residual effects of her, but maybe it was him, from his other dimension, hovering nearby but can't get through, but his essence was permeating through that house to mess with the lights and stuff. I wasn't sure exactly where that came from, but I did notice that. And they made Raven's mom evil. I didn't see that one coming. I thought, her mother was going to be, nice and stuff, and, trying to get away from Trigon and hating him, because that is what Raven's mother was like in the comics. And she didn't like Trigon. She hated Trigon. She was his ex-lover, but she wound up hating him. She didn't want Raven to have anything to do with him. She tried to raise Raven away from him and actually, tell Raven, he's evil, stay away from him. That's why I thought on the show she was going to be like that. But they completely changed that, and they made her a co-conspirator, a willing accomplice of Trigon. And so, making Raven's mother go dark, I guess, she really is screwed then. I mean, she has, like, basically no parents now she can depend on. Her father's evil, her foster mother is dead, Melissa, and her real mother is evil too. So I guess by the time, this season ends, Raven's really going to be on her own. She'll have the Titans as her friends, but, she will not have any kind of stable parental figure in her life at all. That is sad. Now that Trigon is back, there's only one episode left. Since he's one of the Titans, greatest villains, the final fight's going to be him in the next episode. And I assume, it's going to be all the Titans together and, and all of the supporting characters. I mean, I think Jason Todd and Hawk and Dove are going to come too, because we saw in the last episode, Raven, she had her vision. She tried to reach Hawk, but he wasn't seeing it. But she got through to Dove, and she told, Hawk, we have to find Jason Todd. So I'm pretty sure that wasn't in there for nothing. So we're going to see all three of these characters come back for the final episode to join the established Titans and the big battle against, Trigon and the forces of evil. But the interesting thing is the previews and the teasers for next week's episode, show like Dick Grayson fighting Batman, and it seems, they're in Gotham City, and we see characters like Starfire looking like a detective or whatever, and Trigon is looking like a police officer or whatever, and I'm kind of like, so we go from, where we're in Rachel's mother's house, and, Dick rushing in to fight Trigon, to Gotham City and Batman. So I'm thinking that that's going to be an illusion that's in Nightwing or Dick's mind by Trigon. Because if you read the comics, in one of the Titans, famous confrontations with Trigon in the 80s, when they fought him and they faced him, he gave them like illusions where they had to face, dark realities or their shadow selves or, their evil impulses. And they had to fight those evil impulses to, get back to reality. And then that climax culminated with like Raven finding a way to push Trigon back with the power he wanted to use her for to help take over the world. And I think they're doing some version of that in next week's episode, because for like Batman and Gotham City and all these people to show up in, the last hour or 2 hours of the show after not really being present in it, that just seems too like quickly, too sudden. And they still have to like beat Trigon, right, before the show ends. So I'm thinking that's what it is. I'm thinking this is all like in his head, in Robin's head, him fighting Batman and stuff, fighting Batman, and coming to terms with the more violent sides of Robin's personality, which we've seen throughout the series, which are come from, Batman's influence on him. I think that's all going to come into play psychologically with this illusion of him fighting Batman. I don't think he's really fighting Batman or in Gotham City at all. I think it's all in his brain thanks to Trigon. And once that's all settled and he comes to terms with who he is and defeats his darker self, I'm talking about Robin, he'll probably say, I'm not Robin anymore. I'm Nightwing, and he'll have his new Nightwing, outfit. I think that's kind of what's going on. We'll see, though. But, all in all, good stuff. Even though I feel like I know what's coming and where they're going with all of this, I don't care. I still enjoy the show. And, I think the grittiness is here to stay. We'll see what they do next season, though. Because even though Titans, for the most part, has been going over pretty well with people, with the reviews and stuff. I don't know what the ratings are. But, the one criticism a lot of people have is they think it maybe is too dark for a lot of the characters. And I kind of agree. But again, not enough for me to stop watching the show. So I am curious to see if for season 2, will they keep up this whole, grittiness, more violent Titans, or will they try to tone it down? I mean, they could keep it the same because we're all still watching it, right? Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.